Hey, it's the latest with Lay, and the topic of the day is accountability. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about accountability. Let me drink my tea first. Hold on. Got to have the tea, y'all. Got to have the tea. Tea of the week for me is blueberry energized tea. It is the bomb. But anyway, talking accountability. Now, that's just been a word that's been getting used quite a bit lately, whether you're on social media, on YouTube, what have you. And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit. One thing that I do know is that accountability is important for anybody to have. And so I'm going to bring it inward. A quote that I really like to go by is that leaders inspire accountability through taking responsibility before placing blame. Taking responsibility before placing blame. And I really think that that is a valuable quote because the first thing that it emphasizes is leadership. And so we all must be leaders of our own lives. And in order to do that, it comes with taking accountability, which is furthermore taking responsibility. And so I want to kind of bring it inward and talk about me personally. So just to give you a little anecdote, I found myself needing to take accountability. A couple years back, I had a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, homegirl of mine. Every time that we spoke, the conversation tended to be quite a bit about, her venting about, what's going on in her life. And my personality, I'm eager to help others, especially if I care and grow a friendship with someone. And so, we would be corresponding, on a regular basis. And she'd be like letting me know about different things that are happening in her life. It could be big, small, little things, little, grievances. And she would just, vent to me about these different things. And I found that over time, our relationship was completely based on how she was feeling, how she was doing, what was going wrong with her. And in a sense, she would be kind of unleashing all her negativity in her life to me and talking about it. And so over time, I found myself becoming a little bit drained as a result of, our correspondences. And I was starting to feel a little bit like the relationship was one-sided. So I was kind of building a little bit of a resentment about I'm finding that when we talk, it's never about how I'm doing or how I'm feeling. It's solely kind of centered around her. And so as I was starting to feel this way, like I was saying, I was building some resentment. But in that resentment, it was really geared towards me playing the victim a little bit, right? And being like, thinking mentally like, wow, I'm always there helping her. Why doesn't she ever kind of like ask how I'm doing and kind of be there to talk a whole conversation about what's going on with me? But in that thought process, after a while, I had to do what? I had to take some accountability. In that situation, that was on me. For one, I had never voiced it to her that I was feeling this way. I didn't set any sort of standard as far as our correspondences. I allowed our relationship to be all about, and all of our conversations to be all about her and how she's feeling, and allowed the conversation to be steered in that direction. And I never voiced like, hey, you know what? I'm having a bad day today, and I really need to talk, and vent to you about what's going on with me. So I never made it center back to me and what I was needing. And or I never said, hey, you know what? Our conversations are always kind of negative, and I want to make sure that we're also kind of, shedding light on some positivity with each other. So here's what I need, XYZ. I never did that. And so as a result, that's what that relationship ended up being, where me and my homegirl, every time we talked, it was about her and her problems, and then I would leave our conversations drained. So it wasn't until I took some accountability for what I was doing to aid that situation and to make it that way that a change was able to be made, because then I was able to have a conversation with her and set some boundaries. So, in taking accountability, it's also a way of taking control of your life, or taking control of a circumstance. And so in that situation, I was in control of myself. I was in control of me. I wasn't so much in control of what her thought processes were. So I had to set a boundary and say, hey, you know what? This is how I'm feeling. I'm feeling drained every time we talk. I'm feeling like we're only dwelling on negativity. And also I'm feeling like I'm not able to bring to you things going on with me. I feel like, you never really asked me how I'm doing or if anything's going on with me. And so after having that conversation and setting that boundary, that relationship improved. We had better interactions. We also did have a little bit less frequent interactions, which was fine, but I set the boundary and then we were better for it within our relationship. If I hadn't took accountability, then it could have continued to dwell in that same place. So bringing it back to the subject at hand in general, how can one take accountability? I gave a prime example of myself and how I took accountability in the past. But some general tips for taking accountability is to first and foremost own your behavior in the situation and take responsibility. So I know oftentimes in life, there's going to be situations where we feel like we're being done wrong, or we're feeling like we have a lot to juggle. But you have to make sure that you're owning what your behavior is. So in that same sense, in any relationship that you have in life or any responsibility that you hold in life, if things are going wrong, sure, there may be others that are contributing to that, situation going wrong, or maybe someone in a relationship that you're with, whether it be an intimate relationship, whether it be with your husband, your boyfriend, friend, whomever, they may in fact be, contributing to things going wrong, right? However, who are you in control of? You're only in control of yourself at the end of the day. And so all you can do is control your reactions to those situations and circumstances. And by doing that, you need to take responsibility for what you're doing to contribute to that interaction. And we have to remember, sometimes even taking a passive role in interactions that are going wrong is still playing a part, right? Because as you allow things to be done, then you are also aiding it, because you're not putting a stop to it. You're not setting a boundary, or you're not calling on additional resources, whatever that might be, to make sure that that's put to an end. And so that's why owning your behavior is so very important. Whether your behavior is passive or whether it's very reactive, if someone is making you come out of your character, where you're behaving in a way that you wouldn't generally like to see yourself behave, although they may have done something to push you to that limit, you still are in control of how you interact and react to that situation. And so when you allow someone to come out of your character, then you should be taking a step back and saying, okay, let me see what I can do to control me in this situation. And if that person is pushing me to that edge where I'm no longer in control of myself, then let me see how I can set some boundaries and how I can take responsibility for what I'm choosing to be around and allow, so that in the future, I'm not put in this position where I'm feeling this way. And in addition, another tip is reflecting. Sometimes you need to take a moment of quiet and reflect on what it is that's bothering you, or what it is that's hindering you from maybe reaching a goal. What is it that's pestering you at the time, whether it be a relationship, whether it be a goal that's not being accomplished, where you are in your life, whatever it is, reflect on that and then make some corrections. And sometimes those corrections will come with setting boundaries, or goal related, maybe it's changing your habits, changing your tactic on how you're going about accomplishing a goal. If it's a love relationship, maybe it's about having a conversation about setting boundaries. And maybe it's about cutting off a relationship and then choosing better in the future, because now you know what you don't want and what you do want and what you're looking for. And sometimes it's about looking inward for self-improvement. So those are all different arenas in which taking accountability will help you thrive and shine, despite the fact that sometimes we're not in control of the world around us, and sometimes it's chaotic in the world around us. But at the end of the day, we're still in control of ourselves. So accountability equals control of your life. And so that has been a Latest with Lay, and I am signing off.